It was noon before the first of us crawled out of our quarters. Half an hour later, every man had his mess tin, and we gathered at the cookhouse, which smelled greasy and nourishing. At the head of the queue, of course, were the hungriest. Little Albert Krupp, the clearest thinker among us, and therefore only a lance corporal. Muller, who still carries his school textbooks with him, dreams of examinations, and during bombardment mutters proportions in physics. Lear, who wears a full beard and has a preference for the girls from officer brothels. He swears they are obliged by an army order to wear silk chasmes and to bathe before our entertaining guests of the rank of captain and upwards. And as the fourth, myself, Paul Bummer, all four 19 years of age, and all four joined up from the same class, as volunteers for the war. If there is one thing that has followed human history since the dawn of time, it's war. Where two sides, one good and one evil, face each other off. Tales of brave heroism and treacherous deeds are formed from war. The moment when you are asked if you are a man or a boy. So will you take up arms, my brothers? Will you stand with your country against this threat at our very well-being? Will you join me on the adventure of a lifetime? Ow. Thanks, Bill. How many of you have had that kind of thought? I'm pretty sure most of us thought of war as such at one point or another. But those stories only hide a very grim truth about war. Hello Internet, welcome to Bookworm Reviews. I'm your host, the Bookworm, and today we are going to look at one of, if not the greatest war novel of all time. Sit back and relax as we go back to World War I and see It Is All Quiet on the Western Front by, my apologies for the mispronunciation, Ulrich Mara Remarque.
He's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere land, making all his nowhere plans for nobody. Doesn't have a point of view. No.
This is probably one of the easiest plot summaries I have ever done so far. It will only take me a sentence. That's not to say that there's no plot, but literally, all I have to say is, this is a story about 19-year-old Paul Baumer, a German soldier, and his journey with his comrades through the tail end of World War I. That's the entire book in a nutshell. I know it's short, but this is one of the best ways to showcase the book, because this is a book that doesn't BS with us. It doesn't hold our hand or downplay the events Paul faces. It tells us what Paul sees, what he feels, and how the events are affecting his friends and comrades. This is a bleak book. I'm serious, if you're looking for a Saving Private Ryan or War Horse kind of war story, get the hell out now, because there is none of that here. In fact, that is one of the major developments it points out. In the book, they are recruited right out of high school from the same class, inspired by the words of their teacher about the honor of serving the fatherland. That is until they face their first bombardment and trench warfare, and see the truth. This is a book you can't have someone tell you about. This is a book you need to experience yourself. I can say it is bleak. How it scares me that the characters are literally about my age. And those last 2 chapters. My God. If you ever wanted to see joy die right in front of you, those last 2 chapters. Actually, I want to go off on a tangent here. When I first read this book, it really made me think of something I'm not sure many of us do. Why, at least on America's side, is World War I not given the same treatment as many other wars? Take into account that these are my personal opinions from my background. If you know I'm wrong about something, please feel free to correct me. Okay, so if you are an American, I'm sure you can agree there are mainly 6 main wars when talking about our history. The Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, Cold War, Vietnam, and the modern conflict with Afghanistan and Iraq. All of them have been used to make films, TV shows, video games, that they are what we think about when we talk about American wars. Why is World War I left out? Well, because World War II happened. It's the war that brought us out of the Great Depression and established America as a superpower that we are today. As for World War I, it actually led to the Great Depression. Like in II, at the end of I, there was a big economic boom that would become the Roaring '20s. But due to loose laws, bad decisions, yada yada yada, boom, Great Depression. I should also note that America wasn't pushed into World War I as we were for World War II. But here's one of the biggest things I have come across when looking back. Most of the major events of the 20th century happened in some way, shape, or form because of World War I. Now I can't explain the entire history, but here's all you need to know. World War I featured all the world's superpowers at the time fighting each other, along with close to most of the world fighting alongside. It was the war that changed war. It was one of the bloodiest wars, where men died in trench warfare, faced new technology like the machine gun, poison gas, and tanks while using old school tactics, making a death toll that took 10 to 20% of entire country's male population. Old empires were gone, economies collapsed, and a destroyed Germany in later years would begin to listen to a new party that would bring promises of greatness, and everything that would fall out of that. World War I changed the world on such a scale, it makes you wonder what was going through the minds of the young men fighting. Enter a young German author by the name of Ulrich, who fought in the war right out of high school, and once it ended, would write about the book I'm talking about now. Within this book, you see what Paul sees, you hear what Paul hears, and you feel what Paul feels. Ulrich puts his heart, soul, and experience all in glorious detail to give us a true glimpse into war. This book is to be neither an accusation nor a confession, and least of all an adventure. For death is not an adventure to those who stand face to face with it. It will try simply to tell of a generation of men who, even though they may have escaped shells, were destroyed by the war. That is what makes Western Front so stunning to read. It shows us what very few today would ever see, let alone experience, and gives us one of the best speeches about war I have ever had the pleasure to read. There is really not much else I can say. This is a book that can only be understood once you read it. So let's finish off so you can get to it. For the genre review, I give it a 10 out of 10. This is, without a doubt, the war novel that all others must be judged by. A true masterpiece. My personal is an 8 out of 10. Great book, loved it. I do feel the chapters are too long though, and I did get confused over some of the wording of the events. but it doesn't destroy the message of this book. Overall, I give All Quiet on the Western Front a 9 out of 10. This book is no doubt one of the greatest achievements by anyone. Read it right now. Alright, another review down the line. So for next week, we will... Bill? Where is next week's book? Well, it isn't here. That can't be ominous. Don't worry, I will have something for next week. As soon as I find the bloody thing. Till then, have a nice day.